Hi, welcome to another quick tutorial. We want to do some hair and we want to do some clothing with Metahuman in Unreal Engine 5.6. But before we do that, we need to take a look at our engine. Under options, you can find the Metahuman Creator Core data. You need to install that. And we're going to start the project by opening a third person template. And we're going to create it, why not, with all the variants included. This may take a little while, as usual. Then we're going to the Quixel bridge, and we're going to bring in a Metahuman that we created previously. Just download it. This may take a little while. Okay, so once it is downloaded, you just go here and just add it to the project. Enable missing plugins. So let's check the plugins actually. So those should all be enabled, I guess. Yes. Okay, and then we restart. Then you should be able to find your Metahuman here and just drag it in and see everything's working. And if you can see your Metahuman, that's a good start. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the hair because we want to replace that. So what you do is you just select the hair and hit delete, hit compile, and now we have a bald Metahuman. So you see the texture is already a little bit adjusted. We're going to keep the color, but we're going to do a different style. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to export the face. There should be a skeletal mesh, this one, and we want to export this as a static mesh. One easy way to do this is to just go in the editor and make a static mesh. I'm going to go to the folder and we're gonna put it right there. So you have the skeletal mesh and you have now a static mesh here. Let's save all. This static mesh we're going to export. On that dialog, you, if it's checked, you want to uncheck level of detail and hit export. And then in Blender, you want to delete everything and go to import, FBX, drive D, there it is. I'm going to copy it and paste it and rename this also and name it scalp. This is the basically the part we want to emit the hair from. Okay, so we're going to hide the original head and we're going to edit this one. We can, with tab, go into edit mode, and with 3 we can take a look at a side view. And we're going to make a selection with a selection lasso, and we're going to roughly try to select the scalp. And let's do this in wireframe mode, otherwise it's only going to select the front. And let's try to select all the skin that should basically emit the hair, and with Control plus and minus you can grow and shrink the selection if you feel like you want to increase or decrease the selection a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You can also overshoot a little bit. That's not a problem, because we can create the hair where we want it. So with Control I, you should be able to invert the selection and delete everything. And now you have a nice emitter. Next thing you do is you hit U and you unwrap the scalp. So okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the materials. We can delete all of them, I think. No, sorry. Yeah, you have to be in object mode to delete the materials. And we're going to make a new one, and we're going to, yeah, leave it like this for now. Okay. Yeah, so the plan is to split up the hair into segments. What I like to do is I do separate curve objects and split it up that way. For example, especially important when you want to part the hair. So this is one side of the parting and the other. And I also add shorter hair that makes it more dense, closer to the skull. And I also add some stray hair. Looks very weird if you show them solo, but together with the other hair it looks quite nice. I just mark the colors so you can better differentiate them. Of course, in the end it will all be the same color. Okay, so with the scalp selected, hit Shift A and add a new curve, empty hair, and I'm going to name it right, because what I'm doing is I'm not adding hair to the whole skull at the same time. I'm picking some areas and do them individually. So we're going to work here a little bit, and we're going to sculpt mode now with that thing selected, and here we get some tools to work with, like we can add new hair. You have some radius here to select. If you don't see this, you can hit N on the keyboard and switch to the tool here, and then you can add new hair, and you can also add multiple at the same time, for example 6. Those are guide hairs, so later on we will create more hairs in between them, but for now we can just place them randomly. And you have a number of points here, which for example, when I'm combing the hair, you can change that here, or you can use those tools. When I'm combing the hair and deforming them, you can actually see those segments in there. So there are some tools to play with, like growing and shrinking objects. With Control you can shrink them and grow them. And let's bring in another panel. If we don't need the timeline here, so let's change that to asset browser, so you have some choices here for hair, like using modifiers, and we're going to use interpolate hair. And we're going to drag it onto our hair. And then we get a new modifier here. And with that modifier, we can add more hair between the guide hair. So we're going to select scalp. So he will add hair to the entire scalp, but we're going to limit that by choosing a distance to the guide hairs. So you can see the gray ones are now interpolated, and the white hairs are the guides. So let's play around a little bit with them. You can brush them a little bit and keep moving with your camera so you can see how it is in 3 dimensions. As I said before, you can smooth them a little bit, or you can increase or decrease the length. And maybe you also want to increase the density. So if you don't see enough hair in between, you can increase the amount maybe to 50. And you can always add new hair by clicking this. And you can also choose if you want to interpolate. This is off by default, and if you create new shapes and you have this on, the new strands will already take into account the deformations of the previous guide hairs. So keep that in mind if you place new ones. And yeah, let's just play around a little bit with those values until we're happy. You can pinch the guide hair here a little bit, or puff them. This will spread them a little bit. Okay, so if you place the hair and you're happy with it, it may not look the way you want it. What I often do is pinch the hair a little bit, but doing that with the interpolated hair, you have to use a modifier, and you can, for example, pick the one here, clump hair guides, which is very nice. You just drag it onto the hair, and immediately you will see that the tips kind of clump together, and you can go to the settings and play a little bit with the values. If you have trouble seeing properly, it sometimes makes sense to turn off the interpolation and just see the guide hairs. You see the curly effect on them. And yeah, I changed also the order here of the clumps and the curls. So it looks much nicer if you curl first and then clump them later. Yeah, and also if you go out of sculpt mode, you can see the hair nicer. But I don't want my character to have curly hair, so I'm going to kick that out again. And yeah, you can also change the color, of course, by adding a new material and giving a different color. Makes things easier to see. Yeah, and I'd say continue with the next part. When you're happy with the first one, you again go to Shift A and add a new curve. Be sure the sculpt is selected, Shift A, new empty hair, and rename that. And start the process again. Sculpt mode, add new hair. If you're not happy with the amount And the radius of your brush, you can adjust that. And you start the whole process all over until you're happy with the result. So, when you're happy with the result and you want to export everything, you need to convert those curves objects or curve modifiers or whatever they are to particles, and you do that by going here and click Convert Particle System, and it will add a new modifier to the scalp with particle systems. And let's make this a little bit bigger. First, in the render and viewport settings, you turn off show emitter. And then we're going to increase the path steps from 3 to 7. And we need to do that for all the individual particle systems. So the first one I did, second one. Yeah, I guess those are all. So the next thing you do is you're going to select the scalp again, and you're going to export an Alembic file, ABC. And here you need to set the scale to 100. It might have been a good idea maybe to scale the thing in Blender 100%, and you might have better or it might make things easier with playing with the hair values, but it worked fine for me. Just took a little bit longer. This you turn off everything, and be sure that you export the particle system. Export hair and particles should be checked, and the rest is fine, I guess. Just go to the folder when you want to save it. And click export. So back in Unreal, we can go to the hair folder. Here already is the groom, but I'm going to import a new one. So you're going to import. Find your mesh, the ABC file, and hit open. If you have trouble importing the groom in Unreal, then you might need to check if you have the Alembic groom importer enabled, which I did not. Again, you need to restart. So when you then go to import and select the Alembic file, it will look like this. You might need to adjust the transformation. And then you can double click here, and we can change some things here. For example, we might want to, controls are a bit different here. We might want to change the hair, the curve decimation, to make it thicker or thinner. and we can adjust the root scale and the tip scale. Maybe we go here to 1 to make the roots a bit thicker. Actually, we can overdo it a little bit, and the tip scale maybe 2.5. And we need to enable physics. So our hair is actually interacting with the scene and reacting to the movement of the character. And last but not least, we can add a material slot, and we're going to look for MI hair and select that one. And then we also need to name the slot MI hair. Okay, once that is done, we save it. And we need to create a groom binding now for this. Just right click, create binding, and select the skeletal mesh of the character that you previously exported. And we're going to save this as well. And then we're going to open the, actually it needs to go here. There already was one, I guess. Okay, so we go to our character blueprint, and we're adding a new groom asset. Name it hair. Then we're going to add the groom asset and the binding asset that we just made. Compile it. Save it. Change the character as a first person, default pawn, third person. And then I should be able to enjoy the new hair on the character. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. See you soon.